CBS News posted an article, "As elites gather in Davos, conspiracy theories gain traction online." So if you guys don't know, the World Economic Forum's having its annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland. Check out some of the list of attendees. So essentially, this is the most important thing happening in the world right now. So guys, we're going to use this episode. We're going to break down this article and actually find out what is actually happening at the World Economic Forum. Let's get started. And the article starts, "As elites gather in Davos, conspiracy theories gain traction online." This right here is a form of gaslighting because elites are actually gathering in Davos. You know, some of the most powerful people in the world, presidents of nations, prime ministers, CEOs of major corporations, the director of the FBI are all meeting at this event to talk policy for the future of the world. So the article starts, "When some of the world's wealthiest and most influential figures gathered at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting last year, sessions on climate change drew high-level discussions on topics such as carbon financing and sustainable food systems. But an entirely different narrative played out on the internet where social media users claimed leaders wanted to force the population to eat insects instead of meat in the name of saving the environment." So guys, I'm going to go on the World Economic Forum's website right now, and I'll show you some articles that the WEF posted, and I'll put the links to these articles in the description of this video. You can look them up for yourself. So this is straight from the World Economic Forum's website. 5 reasons why eating insects could reduce climate change. Why we need to give insects the role they deserve in our food system. Maggots on the menu. The pet foods using insect protein to help the planet. Good grub. Why we might be eating insects soon. Could insect farms meet our food demands of the future? Fancy a bug burger? A Swiss supermarket is selling food made from insects. Guys, so you can see why people would have these views because they're literally telling you that we're moving to a new protein diet of insects. Now, what I want to ask you is this. Do you think anyone at this Davos meeting, any of these elites, are currently eating insects? Do you think they're eating insects, or do you think they're eating steak and beef, grass-fed steak and beef, that they're claiming is bad for the environment? No, the bugs are not for them. The bugs are for you. And if you still don't believe this, look up these articles for yourself. And look, I'm going to play a video of them saying it at the event themselves. Check it out.
If 1 billion people stop eating meat, I tell you it has a big impact. Not only does it have a big impact on the current food system, but it will also inspire innovation of food systems.
So do y'all now see how irresponsible the journalism is in this article when they're just claiming that we're saying that elites are forcing us to eat insects instead of meat when it's literally on their website? They do not hide it. They're literally hiding their agenda in plain sight, and they use the mainstream media to cover their tracks so that you don't see this coming. Guys, they're telling you they want to transition away from animal protein into insect protein for the environment. While they're flying around on 747 private jets, while they all have multiple mansions, while they all have mega super yachts emitting carbon, they're telling you that cow farts are bad for the environment. Do you see why people would be skeptical of this organization? But I'm going to continue the article. Check this out because it gets even more disturbing. The annual event in the Swiss ski resort town of Davos, which opens Monday, has increasingly become a target of bizarre claims from a growing chorus of commentators who believe the forum involves a group of elites manipulating global events for their own benefits. Experts say that this was once a conspiracy theory found in the internet's underbelly has now hit mainstream. Guys, they are literally saying involves a group of elites manipulating global events for their own benefit. It is literally a group of elites going to this event. You think any average everyday people there? You think any middle class people are there? Do you think any people that represent what America is really about is there? Or it's just a group of elites pushing an agenda that's going to benefit their stakeholders, that's going to benefit their bank accounts? Guys, do you think the elites have your best interests at heart? Do you think that? If you do, then, well, let's just continue. This isn't a conspiracy theory that's playing out on extreme fringes, said Alex Friedfeld, a researcher with the Anti-Defamation League who studies anti-government extremism. We're seeing it on mainstream social media platforms being shared by regular Americans. We're seeing it being spread by mainstream media figures right on their primetime news on their nightly networks. The meeting draws heads of states, business executives, cultural trendsetters, and representatives from international organizations to the Lux mountain town. Though it is always unclear how much concrete action will emerge, the meeting is slated to take on pressing global issues from climate change and economic uncertainty to geopolitical instability and public health. So the most elite people, the most powerful people in the world are all meeting. We didn't elect Klaus Schwab in the World Economic Forum, guys, so you have no say-so. They are all meeting to talk and discuss some of the biggest issues going on in the world. And you guys don't think that this will have any impact in our future. You don't think that their views will have any direction on the way the world goes. Do you think there's any counter argument at this event saying, hey, actually, we don't want to stop eating meat? Do you guys want to stop eating meat? Do you want to stop eating cows? Do you think that cows are really bad for the environment? No. So, again, guys, this is really irresponsible journalism. But all right, y'all, and the next part of the article is titled The Great Reset. Let's go over it. It says this. Hundreds of public sessions are planned, but the 4-day conference is also known for secretive backroom meetings and deal-making by business leaders. Let's repeat that, guys. Hundreds of public sessions are planned, but the 4-day conference is also known for secretive backroom meetings and deal-makings by business leaders. This gap, what's shown to the public and what happens behind closed doors, makes the meeting a flashpoint for misinformation. So guys, they're admitting that the global elite leaders are meeting in back rooms and having secret deals. Now, what are those deals about? I don't know, because they're a secret. So let's continue. When we have very high levels of ambiguity, it is very easy to fill in narratives, said Kathleen Hall Jamieson, who is the director of Annenberg Public Policy Center at the University of Pennsylvania and also studies misinformation. Theories about influential global leaders are not new, she said, but the scrutiny of the forum and its chairman, Klaus Schwab, intensified in 2020, the early days of the C-19 pandemic. That year, the theme of the annual meeting was literally called the Great Reset. The initiative envisioned sweeping changes to how societies and economies would work to recover from the pandemic and build a more sustainable future. Now, in increasingly mainstream quarters of the internet and on conservative talk shows, the Great Reset has become shorthand for what skeptics say is a reorganization of society using global uncertainty as a guise to take away rights. Believers argue that measures include pandemic lockdowns and V-word mandates are tools to consolidate power and undercut individual sovereignty.
We have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is vaccinated.
COVID it accelerates the process of digitalization and automatization. It legitimizes the deployment of mass surveillance, even in democratic countries, and it makes surveillance go under your skin.
Are you starting to see that maybe this organization's values doesn't represent everyday people and that it represents perhaps just a select few of global elite, which Klaus Schwab calls stakeholders, because Klaus Schwab is an advocate for stakeholder capitalism, which essentially means that all the large corporations run the world. So do you guys want to live in a world that's run by Amazon, BlackRock, Apple, and Google? Is that a world that represents your values? Anyway, let's continue the article, guys, because it's got some more disturbing stuff. The last part of the article says bug eaters, and this is what it says. Meanwhile, the popular claim that the forum wants people to replace meat with bugs is a distorted reference to an article once published on the organization's website. Do you see how they really mislead by saying that? Guys, it's not one single article. It's multiple articles, and it's literally saying they want to replace meat with bugs. I mean, this is just really irresponsible journalism at minimum. In another instance, a widely shared post contained without evidence that the forum had appointed U.S. Rep. Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House before the actual vote had taken place. Well, Kevin McCarthy was elected as Speaker of the House, and as you guys can see on their website, Kevin McCarthy is a young global leader and has even bragged about having dinner with Klaus Schwab. Check it out.
But more importantly, as I sat around Klaus's dinner last night, what's interesting is the number of countries who are now talking.
The concern, Freefield says, is that posts like these could introduce people to more fringe and dangerous conspiracy theories or even translate into real-world violence. Jan Zopp, head of media for the forum, says the organization has increased its monitoring of this kind of activity and carefully watches for direct threats. Creating all that kind of stuff can generate enemies for people believe are responsible for whatever bad things happen in the world. Freefield said, once that happens, when you believe that the things that are happening in the world and a certain person or group of people is responsible for these attacks, all of a sudden the idea of using violence to resist becomes more plausible. As always, guys, I would never advocate for violence on this platform. I would never advocate for violence against this organization. I just strictly want to shine light on what is actually happening and what they're actually saying at the World Economic Forum. And again, guys, I've talked about this before in this channel, and I'm going to leave you with this last video of Klaus Schwab and his prediction for what's coming next. Check it out.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.